2, x minus 2.
Very good. So x plus 2, x minus 2. So then I say exactly what your colleague just said. Well, x minus 2 was the original denominator, but now I have this product, so obviously I have to multiply the numerator by x plus 2. The original denominator was x plus 2, but it did not have x minus 2, which means I have to do the same thing to the top. Since these two are identical, I don't have to write anything, but for now I'm just going to write 1. I distribute. Careful. The reason why I don't want to write them here is because some students may be tempted to simplify, and I want to avoid that huge error. X times x, x squared. X times 5 plus 5x. 2 times x plus 2x. 2 times 5 plus 10. Minus 5 distributed, or negative 5 distributed to 5, negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 2, positive 10. Minus 28 times 1, negative 28. At this point, I will combine like terms. X squared is by itself. It has to be in descending order, so x squared is first. These two go away. I have positive 2x. And now 10 plus 10 is 20, minus 28 is negative 8 divided by x plus 2, x minus 2 equals 0, or 0 over 1, which is the same thing. But this is a very important type of rational equation. I should have mentioned this from the beginning. I'm sorry. It's a rational equation. Rational equation. So it's a proportion. In a proportion, and only in a proportion, we can do this. We can cross multiply. Is there another reason, another way? Yes, I can say a fraction is 0 when the top is 0, which is the same thing. This times this is x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals this times this, which is 0. There is no need to do this. I just wanted to refresh your memory on what the proportion is and what cross multiplication means. This product equals this product, but this times 0 is 0. And here I can factor easily, if anyone can give us the factor form of this quadratic expression, which has to have two solutions, equation.
-2.
So x plus 4 and x minus 2. So then we have two options, x equals negative 4 and x equals 2. And you should say not so fast, because I found the solutions. And you should say, nope. What do I have to do now?
The x equals 2 can't be
right, because I took care of it from the very beginning. I worked hard, I didn't forget, I have stated the restrictions, and I have in the back of my mind everything is acceptable, assuming I didn't make any errors, except 2 or negative 2. I don't have to go back and check. I know x equals 2 is a wasted time. It would be a wasted time to go back and check. So that's the method I recommend in solving rational equations. Any questions for me?
No.
So let me know if the skills assessment needs a little bit more time. If you want to do your work, and all these problems, almost everything is done in the previous 2 classes last semester. If you'd like to watch a little bit of those videos, that would be fun.
One more.
Oh, yes?
19.
19. 17, 18, 19. Okay, so that is a trigonometric equation. And let's take a look at it. Which page am I on? I think I'm on 7. So this is sine 2x equals sine x, and they only want solutions in one complete rotation, one full circle. Okay. Now, I will not be able to continue this problem or start it if I don't remember one specific trigonometric identity. Trig identity, which is sine of twice alpha. Sine of twice alpha is 2 sine alpha cosine alpha. If I cannot change this, I will not be able to solve. And that is the answer, in the sense that that's the identity I have to use. Okay, so now what? So now, when I replace sine twice x by 2 sine x cosine x, of course I have to subtract sine x and set it equal to 0. Then I'm sure you're gonna notice something and you'll tell me what I need to do next. Are you with me? Is everyone with me? Any questions?
Yes.
So thank you. So can anyone tell us, what do you think I'm going to do? And remember, always.
You're gonna factor out common.
Exactly. Always. Was that far back? Always. Okay, good. I'm factor out sine x, and what is left in parentheses multiplied by what?
Cosine x minus 1.
2 cosine x minus 1. Excellent. So then obviously there are two possibilities. Either sine x is 0 or cosine x equals 1/2. Because when I set 2 cosine x minus 1 equals 0, I have 2 cosine x equals 1, and then I get cosine x equals 1/2. Now I have two more trig equations to solve. This was a trig equation, reduced to two trig equations. So let's start with the first one. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, so the first one, sine x equals 0. I have to go to the unit circle. I have to create a central angle, this one. And this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. And the measure of the radius is 1, of course, from this point till this point. This point has two coordinates, of course. This point has p, x, comma, y. This piece is obviously x, and this piece is obviously y. So now let's identify sine alpha. Can anyone say sine alpha equals what?
Isn't the opposite over hypotenuse?
Great job. So y over 1, so it's y. Which means that sine is measured on the y-axis. Sine is measured on the y-axis from -1 to +1.
Is that a 1 right on the hypotenuse of the triangle?
Unit circle. which means the radius is 1. Is that clear? Was that the question? Maybe
Yes,
maybe.
yes. No. Sorry, I muted myself and I couldn't get it unmuted.
That's okay. So the unit circle states.
Yeah, I just. You're right. Oh,
the radius is 1. Very
I
good.
wasn't thinking correctly.
That's okay. No worries. I thought that maybe I misunderstood the question, so I wasn't sure. Okay. So now, can anyone give us cosine alpha?
Is it adjacent over hypotenuse?
Very good. Adjacent of a hypotenuse, which is x over 1, which is x. Which means this is where we measure cosine. And this is where we measure sine. And of course, cosine goes from the smallest possible value till the largest possible value. So this was a quick review of what's happening here and a refresher on where we measure what. So on the x-axis, we measure cosine. On the y-axis, the opposite, which is sine. So now let's identify where sine is 0. Where do I measure sine? I measure on the y-axis. Where on the circumference I have a point with y being 0?
At 0 and pi.
0 and pi. X equals 0 and x equals pi. This point and this point will have sine 0. Great job. So this part is solved.
Do you still want us to say our names for like participation credit?
If I want you to put your names, you said?
Yeah, like just for participation credit.
Oh yeah, yes, that would be nice because I know who I'm talking to. Yes, I would love, because I want to learn your names quickly. That's what I always do. I think it's a token of respect to my students. Since they included the 2 pi, although it's the same point, I will also add x equals to 2 pi. Is this enough? No, because I have another trig equation, cosine x equals 1/2. We go back to the unit circle. And now we want to establish, first of all, where do we measure cosine? On the x or on the y?
On the X.
Perfect. So where will, first of all, cosine be positive if we measure it on the x-axis? In which quadrants it will be positive if it is measured on the x-axis?
In quadrant 1 and 4.
Great job.
And it'll be at pi thirds and I guess negative pi thirds. But
so here's how we do it if we want to graph that. Because it's 1/2 and this is 0 and this is 1, 1/2 is right in the middle. I draw a vertical line, a dashed line, vertical line, parallel to the y-axis, and I create an angle with a point on the circumference here and an angle with a point on the circumference here. I connect to the origin. Of course, I connect to the origin, and here are my 2 angles. This angle and this angle. Both are guaranteed to have cosine 1/2. And now before you say anything, I want to give you the little table that I would like you to remember. And here is how it's so easy to remember, I think. Why am I not throwing this away? It's not good for anything. Okay, so here it is. X pi divided by 6, which is the smallest angle of the 3, or 30 degrees. Pi divided by 4, which is 45. And pi divided by 3, of course, which is 60 degrees. Just two columns, sine and cosine. Ready for this? Ready? We start with the smallest angle. The other number is the square root of 3 over 2. So these are switched. 1/2 for the small angle sine, 1/2, and the square root of 3 over 2 switched for the biggest angle. And this is always the easiest because they are the same. The square root of 2 over 2. So now coming back, we are looking at cosine, and we want to determine where cosine is 1/2. What I recommend, just write on the side this little table quickly so you don't make a mistake. Yes, we can use calculators and stuff, that's fine, but you know, that's really not a big deal. And of course, you already told me it's 60 degrees. So this is pi over 3. So the smallest angle x equals pi over 3. Let's see how we get the other angle. The best way is 2 pi minus pi over 3. I know that this piece, this angle, has to be pi over 3 as well. But I'm not interested in that angle. I'm interested in this angle. So from 360, or in other words 2 pi, I subtract pi over 3. So 2 pi minus pi over 3. 3 times 2 is 6 minus 1. 5 pi over 3. So this trigonometric equation took us like 10 minutes. It was a long one. I will list the solutions in ascending order. 0 first, pi over 3, pi, 5 pi over 3, and 2 pi. It's not a mistake to just box them in like we did before. That's fine, but in the correct order, this is how I would present the solution. Questions for me?
No.
Okay, so then we agree to move on